Today we are going to be making our clay birds. So this bird is hollow in the inside. So what that means is there is nothing in there. It is not solid clay. There's air in there. So to make this, we're going to start with our 2 pinch pots. So you're going to get a pretty big chunk of clay today. The first step while working on your fabric mat, we're going to split this up into 3 equal parts. 2 of these chunks of clay are going to end up as pinch pots. The extra one is for details. So with 2 of these, you're going to want to form them into nice spheres. So I am like squeezing the clay and rotating it as if I were going to like wind up to pitch a really hard baseball. Don't throw the clay, but that's just a comparison. You can also roll it in between your hands. So as I'm rolling, it's getting smooth. That one is ready for a pinch pot. I have a second one here ready for a pinch pot as well. So 2 of them are going into nice spheres. Pinch pot review. Your thumb is going to push into your clay to the knuckle as far as it bends. So I've got a nice hole started. My thumb's going to stay in there, and I'm going to take my 4 fingers and I am going to pinch that clay towards my thumb. I'm going to move and I'm going to pinch, move and pinch. My thumb is still pushing at the bottom. It's not coming up close to that edge. Down here I'm pushing. You can actually see my clay moving in this hole opening. So now it's so big I can put both my thumbs in. And at this point I am feeling for thick spots that I can squish. My thumbs, you can't even see my fingernails. They're way down there. They're not up on the edge. Most 5th graders make the mistake of pinching up here, and then they end up with breaking happening. If you pinch at the bottom, you're going to end up with a bigger pinch pot. So I want to pinch this pinch pot large enough for almost my 4 knuckles to fit in there. Some of you have smaller hands, you might fit your whole fist. So right now, it's not beautiful, it's not perfect, but it's pinched pretty thin. You don't want this bottom to be super thick. So you're doing this 2 times. To save time, I have created my 2 pinch pots already. So here they are. Now we know as 5th graders we cannot just stick these together and hope they stay. There's some things we have to do. So with your toothbrushes, we're going to get our clay wet. That's called slip. When I scrub, you can actually hear a texture getting scratched in this clay. This is called scoring. So I am slipping, getting the water on, and I am scoring with the texture just on one edge of the pinch pot. I am going to connect these. If they're not the same size and you have some overlapping happening, that's okay. Now my goal is to gently push this clay together. So it's almost like I am smearing and erasing that line all the way around. So I'm rotating this clay, smearing that edge. If you get a little push in, don't worry about it. It's not going to be perfect. By having these shapes all different, it's going to make your bird have a little bit of character. It's going to make it be unique. So right now I'm taking the time and I'm just smearing and smoothing. So some of my clay is coming off. I can already tell right now that this side is not looking the nicest. So I'm already knowing that that's going to be the bottom. That's going to sit on the table and nobody's going to see it. So I'm going to set that to the side. If you have emergencies where it caves in and you can't get anything to happen, call me over. I will help you. Extra clay. I'm going to take a little piece of that and I'm going to make that into a sphere. And I would say this is smaller than a golf ball. I'm going to make this into a pinch pot. Tiny little pinch pot that's going to be the bird's head. There it is. So I have to attach this, and you know, score, slip, smooth. Scored and slipped. Now I have to smear the clay together. I am pushing them together so I can't see where they have connected. It's going to look like one piece of clay. It's not going to look like I made it separate and put it on. This is the part where kids struggle with. So where'd the bottom go? There's my bottom. There's my head started. Cool. Now it's time for details. You've got lots of options. You've got lots of clay left over. So I'm going to flatten some of this out with my hand, pushing pretty hard. And I'm going to cut some wings. So I have this flat piece of clay. I'm going to draw a straight line. And wings could be triangles. They could be rounded. They could be square. This does not have to look like a real bird. So if you want it to have a little bit of comedy in it, cartoon effect, you could do that. So I cut 2 triangles. They are pretty thick. All right, I am ready to add these triangle wings on. So you know the drill, score and slip. If I score and slip and try to attach the wings like this, chances are they're going to just break right off. So I'm actually going to attach them. I suppose they could go that way as well, or they could go down. I'm going to have them go out. So I'm going to attach it flat. So I'm smearing it on just at that edge, one edge of the triangle. And then once it's on there good, I can bend it out. That's going to make sure that it stays on there. Score and slip, putting it on, and then I'm making sure I gently smear it on, because remember that these are hollow. So if I push too hard, I'll get a hole, and then I can bend it out. So anytime you're attaching something, back feathers, you're scoring and slipping. Eyes, you cannot just hope that those would stay on. So every time I'm scoring and slipping. Lots of times kids have struggled with the beaks on this project. So if you want your bird to have a beak, let me show you a trick. Oh, slipped right out of my hand. I'm going to take a piece of clay. Definitely going to add a little score and slip. And this clay is just a chunk of clay. Doesn't look like anything yet, because I am going to shape it after I've had it smeared on. Okay, so it's smeared on. It's not going anywhere. Now I can kind of pinch it and smooth it out to look like a real beak. If you want that beak to be open, I like to use this tool that has a point to it, and I kind of rotate it. Well, that didn't work. Kind of rotate it in and cut that clay to look like a beak. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend some time smoothing this bird out. You have a choice. You could add a back feather. You could add feet. You can make this look like any kind of bird you'd like. But first I'm going to do some smoothing, and then I'll come back and finish it with some textures. Alright, so just a couple of things to kind of make your bird have that wow factor. I like to use these marker caps to create some eyeballs. So I'm just gently pushing them in. Makes it look kind of cool. You could even use this back end and give it a little star on the inside. That looks nice. Marker caps also work well to use as just a half circle or a C shape to give your bird a feather texture. You could also use these marker caps and roll. And remember, if you put something on here you don't like, rub it off. No biggie. You could also draw textures on. So I'm doing like the letter W. That looks pretty cool too. So have fun with the textures. And your last finishing important steps. I'm going to take a tool, just like this one, and I am going to poke a hole in the bottom of my bird. And I kind of move it around and make it fairly large. I could probably fit a pencil in there. This is to help our clay dry properly and also create some circulation so air can get in and out of there in the kiln. Last step, I want you to write your initials. So I'm going to write an M and a C on the bottom for Mrs. Cleary. When you are finished, you're going to put it in the spot Mrs. Cleary points out to you right now. When you're finished, tools go back on the tray. Water cups, toothbrushes are going to stay at your table. if you have extra clay, bring it back up to Mrs. Cleary's table and put it in the plastic bag. Your job will be to shake your fabric out. Hey, look at that. I shook it out and I have all these crumbs. You can sweep them up with your hand, push them into your hand and get them in the garbage, or you can use one of the special little brooms. We are not washing the tables today. We're just cleaning up our crumbs and putting away our tools and washing our hands.